भद्रं कर्णैभिः शृणुयामदेवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेमदेवहितं यदायुः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Let us now pray together. We offer our salutations to the all-loving being who endows all beings with consciousness. We meditate on the Lord, who is the origin of the universe. Lord, thou abidest in all, thou art all, thou assumest all forms, thou art the origin and goal of all. Thou art the self of all, thou art existence, knowledge and bliss. Salutations unto thee. May the world be peaceful. May the wicked become gentle. May all creatures think of mutual welfare. May their minds be occupied with what is spiritual and abiding. May our hearts be immersed in selfless love for the Lord. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Let us feel our true nature. Who am I? By just dissolving our shape of the body in this universe, in the whole existence as it were. The shape, as we know, doesn't have much intrinsic value like the animal crackers. The shape, according to shape, that one gives names to that, but they taste the same. Their intrinsic value is same. So let us feel our true intrinsic value by transcending this shape. And let us feel that let there be ice cubes. Let us think each of us is an ice cube. And then put in warm water. Let me feel this. I am dissolving. The shape is going away. I didn't notice it as it was changing from childhood to this day. Every day actually it was changing. I am not this shape. I am now seeing, feeling, experiencing this truth. The shape is dissolved. The change has stopped. There is no time and space. There is no multiplicity. I am free now from all desires. Being free from shape, form. I am free. I ever was. Identification with shape limited me. I am full of bliss, for there is nothing other than I. I am bliss itself. I have no birth, no death. I am existence eternal. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Om. आत्मा में शुद्ध्यन्ताम् ज्योतिरहं विरजा विपाप्मा भूयासगं स्वाहा. May my physical being be purified. I am the light of consciousness, free from all impurities. Free from all the drags and desires. Om अंतरात्मा में शुद्ध्यन्ताम् ज्योतिरहं विरजा विपाप्मा भूयासगं स्वाहा. May my psychic being be purified. I am the light of consciousness, ever pure, ever sinless. Om Paramatma me शुद्ध्यन्ताम् ज्योतिरहं Viraja vipapma bhuyasagam swaha. May my spiritual being be purified. I am the light of consciousness, ever pure, ever perfect. Sin cannot touch me. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Today's talk is a result of many questions asked to me when I tell that I am a monk. They ask, what is it to be a monk? What constitutes becoming a monk? And why one becomes a monk? How one becomes a monk? And so forth. Many questions have been asked to me over last, say, 4+ decades. So, I replied, but today I am giving a special talk on this. And of course, there would be many different opinions, different questions, doubts on this. But I am telling how I understand it and how I practice it. Human society, there is a speciality of human beings apart from other animals, that human beings want to lead a purposeful life. They have a great gift of what is called the conscience, the choosing between right and just what is liked. Therefore, human beings can commit sin. Animals can never, because for them whatever they do is instinctive. They have no opportunity to control it. So unless some external situation controls it. So it is like I see sometimes in the garden, there is a small squirrel who wants to eat something, but sees a big squirrel there. And so naturally that controls the instinct of that small squirrel to go and get it, because it knows that, doesn't have to think about it, just it comes naturally that I should not, it would be very risky to go there. So it is, but human beings have the tendency and capability to control and direct their behavior to what is right from what is not right. Also to set goals. So all that has given human being a very special characteristic. You see, therefore, human beings, they have educational, these institutions. Human beings get educated, consult each other on various special issues. Like there are specialists in medical field, there are specialists in the field of, say, management, and there are specialists in construction work. All these specialists that you consult because they have special knowledge. I don't know if cats have such specialities amongst them, that this cat is a construction specialist, that cat is a medical specialist. This is unthinkable. They don't have schools also to get that special knowledge about it. It is thus, you see the tremendous development that human society has made, that therefore human being not only can fly, it can go fly beyond the gravitational field and go into the outer space as it is. It can go aspire to go to Mars. It has gone to moon and can go to Mars. Human beings thus develop themselves in various ways. You can see the example all around. Sometimes I give a challenge that now how we live, it is all in a way. Sometimes that word is not used in the right sense, but it is all artificial. In the sense it is manufactured by human beings. In this hall, you won't find a single thing except maybe some of the flowers. Show me a single thing that you have got from nature as it is. Anything like this paper, nature does not provide the paper. Human beings manufacture paper, and there is tremendous that chemical engineering that has gone into it. Lot of research has gone into it for thousands of years to make a proper paper. So, it is human speciality. There is nothing in this hall which is just coming from nature. So human beings, they fight against nature. And one very important fight against nature is this taking to monastic life. Actually, every human being tries to, use this tremendous force called the force of sex, sexuality. It is a very big force in life, and all need to somehow channel it in a constructive way. Because if it is not channeled in a constructive way, that force leads to violence. It can lead to destruction. It shatters one's life. And so it is important that one should give a direction to this force. One should control this force. Like our boiler, that it provides the warmth to this room in this otherwise cold temperatures outside. Now there is this boiler. It has a temperature monitor there, a pressure monitor, a temperature monitor, so that it remains under control. But also it is that the control gets released for the particular specific use. The use is to make that heat available. That's hot water that is produced there gets circulated all around. There are the pumps to direct it, and thus the room gets heated up. If there is something goes wrong, then there is the safety mechanism that shuts off the boiler, because otherwise it could explode. So all this our sexual desires are like that they may shatter our mind-body complex if this force is not well directed. And human society has always tried to regulate it. Therefore, it is because unbridled, unregulated, unchecked this manifestation of sex could lead to social uh, chaos. It could lead to one's personal harm, the harm to society. In every way, the bad effects could be seen. So the control is very important. So this control is effected for thousands of years in various different ways. Uh, every person has to do it depending on the personal aptitudes. You know, our minds vary, our bodies vary. Then they, depending on the family and community, the training. There are both these things, like what is a debate in psychology, nature versus nurture. So actually there should not be like as if they are opposite of each other. Both can complement too. So it is, there is some persons, men or women or whatever, you know. So it is all, they have their aptitudes, their desires, their capabilities, and there is the training for that, as family training, religious training, moral trainings are all there in place, applicable to a person according to the needs, according to the temperament, according to aptitudes, according to the various desires that the person may be having. It is a very complex issue, being, you know, connected with the tremendous variety that human beings have in their bodies, and much more so in their minds. But there are three broad classifications that you see in society. I am saying broad classifications. There are some kind of intersection between them, and some may still fall out of these three categories. So the biggest, by far the biggest category is the category of getting married. It is to give a vent to this sexual desire, while also contributing to this society. Getting married contributes to so many different desires that are in human being. The desire to say control, the desire to have a progeny. The progeny is a kind of continuation. I continue to exist, as it were, through my children, my lineage, and so forth. So that is therefore one of the very strong desires. And then there is the spiritual desire for unification, for becoming one. It is a spiritual desire because in spirit we are one. And that is our true nature. And we want to become one. A sexual act is a completely misdirected expression of this desire to become one. I had given that example many times, that something that we want, something we like, and then oneness with that brings pleasure to us. I here and the cookie that I like there, no happiness. When that cookie and I, the distance is gone, I become the cookie, then I get the pleasure of it. All our pleasures are also therefore actually centered in this truth that there is no multiplicity, as Vedanta declares again and again with great emphasis, Neha nanasti kinchana, there is no multiplicity except in ignorance. So, in ignorance there is this multiplicity, and therefore we don't want ignorance. We go to learn, to educate ourselves to remove ignorance. But that knowledge is true knowledge, which thus removes all multiplicity and establishes us in true oneness. So, it is told that, okay, this let you come together, but control that drag, direct it to one or a few persons. This is a social situation, that one spouse for everybody is okay when there is the number is even. I mean the same number of men and women. But the society does not always have that, especially in times, when lot of men would get killed in wars. So there are lots of women left with comparatively fewer men. So what can be done? So they have to share man. Similarly, in many cases, many women would die, or their number is reduced. Now, one man has to, one woman has to share, many men. So it is, that is how that rule is not applicable in all society, one to one. Depends on the composition of society. So, and you see that it has happened like that in many places. But that is not the question, but there is a restriction always that, okay, one or two or whatever, don't go beyond that. Conscientiously keep your expression of sexual drag limited to that. It is a sense of control, and then it is associated with responsibility. That is, this responsibility is, okay, thus you will be supporting each other. As Apostle Paul has given a great, lesson on this Corinthians, that how there should be the relation between, say, husband and wife. It is applicable to both genders. Although because of the grammatical limitations of language, sometimes the word he is used, it should not become the point of fighting. Something has to be used. So it should not be taken in a gender specific way. So it is for both. It is, he has given that both should fulfill each other's needs, the physical needs. They should live a life of this mutual existence together. It is the existence that brings joy to their life, a sense of fulfillment to their life. This becomes conducive to what is called family. It becomes thus a core small unit of the human society. The fabric of human society is therefore it is centered in what is called a family. So this is the major, huge, I don't know the percentage or whatever, but 90% of human beings fall in this category. Now the responsibility is to keep happy your spouse, to rear the children in the proper way, train them in good manners, etiquettes, the sense of all these moralities, the truthfulness, respect for each other, all that training has to be given to children through example. So the parents have the responsibility, the behavior. It is a householder. In this way, man or woman has to renounce a lot. There could be a lot of drag for the pleasure, but then they have to think about the children. They have to, earn the wherewithal to support the family, say financial needs, material needs. They have to work for that. So all this is the responsibility that gives the prosperity to society and all that. This is a very, very big group. Then there is a fringe group which for various reasons, that is a completely different topic that I am not going into today. That they cannot become a part of this so-called this main system of the society. They are still very useful members of the society. They are not that they are criminals or anything, but they cannot have this kind of relationships, and thus they form a separate group. There is a still smaller group. They notice that what the gender, sexuality and gender, that ties me to this limitedness, this flesh basically. I don't want that. It is, I want to realize, to experience my true nature. In Christianity, therefore, that gets called. The monastic systems are there in Hindus, Buddhists, and Christians as religion. Others, they practice separately, means not as a main discipline in their religion. In fact, some religions in a particular form that they use completely abhors celibacy and monastic disciplines. So, but Buddhists, Hindus, Christians, and some other Jains, they accept and support this. So, there Christians are therefore told that you get married to Christ. You are spouses of Christ. This applies to both men and women. Here Christ is not a man as such, is God beyond gender. And so, those who want to practice the monastic discipline, want to get out of this bondage with body, they therefore decide, let me just not fall trapped to these attractions. Let me not get entrapped by these attractions. Let me fight against it rather than succumb to it. So this is being a very daring step in life. Very, very few go to do it directly. Even the married people, they have to practice a level of celibacy to be just human beings, you see. They also therefore have various religious practices that make them think of God while being married. That is, in a way, a graded course to that same ideal, rather than taking a drastic course. So, there are, for example, in Hindu codes called Smritis, there are so many different regulations for married people. that how should they live. Sri Ramakrishna also says that, okay, well, you are married, very good. It is, but learn to see that God alone is real. And then you want to have progeny, you want to raise family, and all that. But say after having one or two children, then you live like just brothers and sisters, and do not have that sexual drive between you. So this is just to say that, well, everybody has to elevate beyond these physical attractions to come to this ultimate truth that I am divine. I am beyond body. I am all pervading. I am consciousness itself, existence itself. I am that I am. I don't have any form. I am not limited by any particular qualities. I am not bound by anything that keeps on changing. So this is what everybody has to practice, whether a monk or a regular household or other fringe groups. That everybody can practice this to some extent. According to their way of life, it is like climbing a hill, there are some who can just climb that steep climb just like that. And they have that capability. They take a lot of risks also. There are others who see that, no, I don't think I can go steep like that. I am too heavy set. I don't have that much energy. My lungs are not good, and so forth. But I too want to go to the peak. Okay, go. That circuitous route. Very good. Ultimately, you will reach there. So you negotiate that hill like that, in that way. So just use this analogy. The monastics are those who want to climb that hills just straight up because they don't want to get embroiled in these attractions in life. So they have this attraction of God, that God attraction alone. So they take up that discipline. Now let us see what this word discipline means. That you are not there on the hill, on the top of the hill. You are not there, but you want to get there, and so you take a discipline. Then there are those who are right on the top. They don't need any discipline. They already have reached the acme of their life. The ultimate goal of their life is reached. So they become monks automatically. They are called monks by knowledge. They are already united with God. They have no sex drive left in them, no desire of anything. All desires actually, whatever those desires may be, except one desire, the desire to climb that top, to become one with divine. Except that one desire, all other desires, they just precipitate into sexual desire. They go back to this sexual desire. And they are again unconscious expressions also of these sexual desires. I do feel that Freud was right in that manner, that it is, yes, all these desires that we have are powered by that libido which is in the background there directing it. So, thus, a monastic, one who is aspiring to be a monastic, has those desires, has the desire for sex, but wants to channel it, does not want to succumb to it, wants to get married to the highest ideal. That is how Lord Buddha told to a big congregation of his disciples. The incident is very illuminating incident, that there was a disciple of Buddha who was getting married, and he invited Buddha there, and Buddha went with thousands of his followers to attend that wedding ceremony. Now the wedding ceremony was done. There was a feast and all that accompanies such ceremonies, and then Buddha was requested to say something, and he gave just a short this sermon there, which says that I am so happy that today two people are coming together, uniting with each other. It's a very nice day. Let everybody get married. People, Buddha, who is a monk, and all these coming, half of them are monastics. How he is telling that? Let everybody get married. Let no one remain single. Then he explained these words. Let everybody get married to truth. Let everybody get married to truth. And he says how important this marriage with truth is for even the sustenance of the regular man-woman marriage. He said, if you are not married to truth, what is the validity of your vows that you take at the time of wedding? If you are not married to truth, these vows are meaningless mockery. Yeah, it is. One man was, telling the other that I can do this. I am so well versed in these things, and I am a very good person. I help people, and all that. Then but only one problem is there with me, that I don't tell the truth. So now all that he has told becomes meaningless, you see. So therefore Buddha says, get married to truth. All of us must get married to truth. So this is the central point in becoming a monastic, that get married to truth and to nothing else. It is, thus some become monastics in that sense. Jesus mentions that, it is, one should marry. Again I quote St. Paul, that he quotes that it is better to get married than to burn. It is, if you can, he says, if I will be so happy if you can become like me, married to Jesus. But if you cannot do it, it is better to get married to another person with the commitments that follow it. And then, because it is better to get married than to get burned in these passions. So, this is how this class gets created. The class where you see that it is the monastics in various religions, they have this common idea that let us keep our sex drive away. Let us not get into the connection with the, in general, opposite sex or whatever your source of attraction. Say if somebody may be gay, doesn't matter. Has to keep away from that so that you do not succumb to that attraction. It is, as they say, out of sight, out of mind. So keep that object of attraction out of sight, so it stays out of your mind. So this practice they do. So this is, and that is only a negative part of it. It won't stay like that if it is only negative. But it is, get married to Jesus, get married to God, get married to truth. That is, let the attention go on that. It is like in common married life, the attention is to the spouse, to children, to household and all that. A major part of the whole thing is drawn by that. The mind is going there greatly. So for other things only a small part of the mind is left. One friend, used to, the phone would ring and then he wants to pick it up but says, oh, let me pick it up, maybe my wife is calling. So it is, the wife is sitting just there, but just to tease, it is, maybe my wife is calling. So shows that how much importance has to be given to the spouse there. The mind is all carried there. It is, you think about the other person all the time, majority of the time. So it is, therefore, for a person who is married to God, there is the great example of men and women who practice that. That is, say, one woman like, for example, Mirabai, is, although was married to a king, she could not be kept in that kind of marriage. She had to leave and because she knew and always felt that her spouse is Lord, and thus she is a monastic of that type. So now what are these characteristics of the monastics? How should they direct their energies in strengthening this bond with God? It is strengthening, like when you want to, strengthen the relationship with spouse, you do what the spouse would like. You remember the birthday of the spouse, you bring some gifts, you try to be nice, so that the relationship gets, cultivated. Sometimes you fight, but make sure that it is just stretching without snapping. So it is, all that is followed, that to strengthen the relationship, that relationship has to become concrete. It is, I am tempted to tell that incident again, although I have told it a few times before, that once myself and two other Swamis, we were traveling together and in a train, and one gentleman was looking, for a place to sit. The train was pretty crowded, but there was a seat right where we were sitting. So he came and sat there, very good, and we soon got into chit-chat. He told that he is an electrician and all that, and looked very nice man. And then he was seeing around, hey, what happened? No, I am looking for my wife. And then I assured, oh, she will find you, don't worry. And he said, I hope not. So, but then she actually was looking and found we were seated there. And then I said to the wife, "Hey, your husband is a very nice guy." She said, "Is he? Keep him." So now what is it? It is a very ripened relationship over decades. So you now do not have to externally or formally do something for that. It is internally a very strong bond. So that husband immediately got up from, no, I must go now. So where my wife is. So this is you do to please the spouse. Now your spouse is God. So now you do everything to please that spouse, God. And Shankaracharya has written a great hymn about this kind of life. Today I may take a few minutes more because it is a very interesting hymn that I would like to discuss today. That it is that he says that Kaupina Panchakam, the name of that, these are 5 verses about the lion cloth that the monks put on to hold on to let not the sexual energy be dissipated through that sex organ. So it is tied there. It is a symbol, not that it will only external symbol doesn't work, It is just, it has to be connected with your mind very well. But that cloth is called in Sanskrit Kaupina. So lion cloth like that. So he says that how this life should be. Vedanta Vakyeshu Sadaramantu. This person is always, taking joy, Ramanto, taking joy in studying, discussing, contemplating on the teachings about God, the Vedanta teachings. He doesn't go to other literature, but sada, always, not that for half an hour or for during the class, Vedanta Vakyeshu, and then all other gibberish is there, all TV and such things. No, sada, always is glued to the great statements of the sages. So he is always contemplating on the fact that I am not this body. Then Vedanta Vakyeshu Sadaramantah Bhikshanna Matrena Chatushtimantah. No specific food desires for him, goes to beg. Whatever people put in the begging bowl, just survives on that. See how different. I cannot take this, I don't like this, I have problem. It is, no, not like that won't do. It is whatever comes to your begging bowl, you should be satisfied with that. Tushtimantaha, you should be satisfied with that. And then it is, he doesn't stays under a tree. It has nothing like a home. Whatever shelter is available just stays there. And even if the wealth comes to him, Kanthamiva Shrimapi Kutsayantah, he just gives it up. He does not take it. In fact, looks upon it as a big obstacle in life. so renounces all the external wealth, uh, and then uh, tries very vigorously to change the identification with body and make it identification with the truth. Dehadibhavam parivartayanto. That it is changes, tries hard to tell that dehadibhavam means body, mind, and all that changes. All that is the matter. Mind is also matter. So it is, I am not that. Parivartayantah. This requires practice to actually change the awareness. So, and then keeps on feeling that I am the self, that I am the all-pervading reality, I am the Atman. So, keeps on thinking of that, and then he is always feeling happy, pleased with this. There is the monks you see that they are always very happy. You don't see an unhappy monk. If the monk is, not just for fashion, hasn't taken the monkhood, that is, or out of some other craving. And apart from that, one characteristic of monks is that they are always having happiness. And that happiness is not related to any external condition. It is the inner happiness that is manifesting. And therefore, in the Vedanta style of monks, there is the name, every name gets appended with the word Ananda. Like this is called Yogatmananda. So, Vivekananda, Brahmananda, and so forth, So, it is, Ananda means bliss. There is this manifestation of bliss from within. So, that is the joy that this monastic feels, that and always on his lips, Brahmaksharam Pavanamucharantu, always thinks and says Om. That is the inner sound that is going on. That is the inner music that is going on all the time. Brahmaksharam Pavanamucharantu Brahmahamasmiti Vibhavayantu. I am Brahman. Brahmahamasmi iti vibhavayantah. I am Brahman. Always tries to feel this, that my true nature, I am not this body, etc., but I am that unchanging, supreme, all-pervading, ever-blissful existence. That is my true nature. So, this is how this person feels that, yes, this is the very blessed state of life. And therefore, amongst Hindus, even those who are not monastics, they respect the monastics. The respect is because they also feel this ideal, although they are not able to practice it to that extent, but hope to do it sometimes. It is, yes, by respecting that, you gradually learn to do it too. So, this is the monastic life. But there is a very important mandate of the scriptures there, that for the householders it is told that you should respect the monastics. Monastics are told, do not seek any respect. So, therefore, if you seek respect, then you are not respectable. So, it is, don't seek it, don't expect it, don't think about it. It is, but the householders will imbibe that ideal in their life when they think or they respect the monastics. So, there is this Swami Vivekananda, Sri Ramakrishna and Vivekananda gave a new impetus to this monastic life in this society. Earlier, before that, the idea was to go to the forest, away from human society. Although this is not only Sri Ramakrishna Vivekananda, earlier also that attempt had been done by Buddha to that go and serve people. That is a way by which you will be able to connect to the all-pervading reality. Same reality here is here in everybody, knowing that serve them. So it is this component was added to that, so that a person gradually learns to purify oneself through this service. This service is taken up as a worship. It is not serving a person, but worshipping God through that symbol. Human beings require some symbols. Last Sunday we discussed about, while discussing about worship, that why do we require symbols and the rituals and all that. So we require symbols. Swami Vivekananda says the great symbols are there. A human being is the greatest symbol. Worship God by using that symbol, through that symbol, by offering this service to that being. Srimad Bhagavatam, in some many weeks ago, many months ago, we discussed that part in Bhagavatam in Kapilopadesha, that Kapila tells his mother that, look, Kapila is there an incarnation of God, says, please worship me, but remember that if you are not serving the people around, then all that ritual of worship will be of no avail. Serve others. And how to serve others? Archayet danamanabhyam maitriya. This maitriya bhinnena chakshusha. That how to worship that you give them whatever they need. According to their needs, you should give them if you can. But give them respect, that is important. Don't think that they are beggar. No. It is treat them with utmost respect. That man, dana, mana, bhyam. And have love, maitriya. Have that sense of camaraderie with them. And that camaraderie is important. Maitriya, we are together in this. And abhinnena chakshusha, you and I are really one. So this is how one tries to hold on to this ideal through this process of service. Serve others, serve society, but not as the serving, not as a philanthropist does. Philanthropist does the service. It is good, but it is not a spiritual practice. They serve people in need, and that is a good thing rather than hurting people. But a spiritual practice is to look upon them as veritable manifestations of divinity. You are serving the God represented by these beings. So that is how it brings it to a different perspective. So this is the practice of monastic life. He characterizes in one lecture, very short lecture he gave in Belud Math on this, the topic of that, title of that lecture is Sannyasa, that is the monastic life. Sannyasa, its ideal and practice. And there he says, sannyasis, as against the other people, regular people, should love death. The regular people want to live their little, these physical lives. The sannyasins should love death. By that, he characterizes it, immediately explains it further. Wow, all that I mean by this is that this living with the petty ego, that is not the real life. Let that ego die. See that the same you are in all the forms around and serve them. That is what I mean by saying the love of death. So this is the love of death, death of this ego. Sannyasins or the monks should love the death of this. So friends, I have discussed a few ideas about what is it to become a monk. There is a lot to discuss, but we don't have enough time. I have given some rudimentary ideas about it today, and please think about it for half a minute, and in case if you have questions, please feel free to ask. Yes, please. Any questions? Yes, while you go.
Is there any validity to the tantric path that suggests using sex as a practice for spirituality, like seeing your consort as God, and they have certain ritualistic practices where they engage in sex? Or are they just trying to like have their cake and eat it too, kind of thing?
Well, yes, even in marriage, especially in Hindu marriage system, the spouse is asked to be looked upon God. So to sublimate that relationship to the divinity. But there has to be the big element that usually gets absent in this is the sincerity of this commitment that yes, my spouse is God. I worship that spouse with this. It is because it is not easy to do that. So because the drag that made you become husband and wife was that drag that wants it just looking at the flesh relationships. That sexual relationship. Sexual relationship as such glues you to the body. Now, and therefore is an impediment in the spiritual awareness. But one can therefore use this to eradicate sex and look upon the spouse as the embodiment of divinity. That is how it should be done in a regular householder's life. Yeah. Any question, Ajay, there?
There are no web questions, but
Okay.
I have one question, please.
You have a question, okay.
Yes. Sri Ramakrishna gives an advice to a certain householder
Yeah,
to live in the world in the spirit of a monk.
yeah.
Now, I have two questions about this statement. First, is this a universal statement to all householders? And then two, how can this be applied. So can you expand upon how one goes about that?
Yeah, it is a very good question. And in principle, what Sri Ramakrishna said applies to all householders. That he says, what you told, in addition to this topic comes several times, that you should renounce by mind. You cannot take up the external monastic life because of several commitments that you have gotten into. But you can, and you should not break those commitments. Otherwise, you will break the whole fabric of your life too. So you have to hold on to those commitments, but internally you tell yourself, give up this I and mine. I am this little person, and this is my spouse. This is my something. That give up that idea of proprietorship. This is what Sri Ramakrishna gives as advice to everyone, all those who are not becoming formally complete monks. But it is to be applied according to one's capability and according to how your whole life is centered, because it is not the negative aspect of it, just not interacting with spouse, but interacting with God must substitute that. It is both should be hand in hand. So that makes you an internally a monk by practicing that God alone is true, I and mine. It is unreal. So this idea is to be intensified. It is the core of the monastic life. Okay then. Let me tell you about upcoming programs. Next Sunday, the topic is looking for excitement. Do you feel excited about the topic? Okay. Thank you. So, the Tuesday, Friday lectures will go on as usual at 7:30 p.m. Tuesday, the topic is the Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play. And Fridays, it is Srimad Bhagavatam, stories from Srimad Bhagavatam. There is a spiritual retreat coming up on December 11, Saturday, December 11, and you can register for that. It is the topic is Yoga Psychology. This will be given by Swami Yogatmananda. So it is, you can register for that. And let me conclude the morning and evening meditation sessions. They are going on in person. Please look at the times and report at the right time. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahur Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.
is your work. Your life's offered for the world's deliverance. Your life's offered for the world's deliverance, saving us from darkness and fear. Renouncer of all lust and lucre, therefore you were always spurning sensual life. Lord of monks, you are the best of men. Lord of monks, you are the best of men. Grant to us pure love for you. You're fearless and you're free from doubting, with your mind very firmly resolved. Causeless refuge of your devotees, causeless refuge of your devotees, renouncing caste and birth. Our treasure is your holy feet, which take us very soon across this puddle of life. You give love and even sightedness. You give love and even sightedness to remove our anguish here. Our treasure is your holy feet, which take us very soon across this puddle of life. You give love and even sightedness. You give love and even sightedness to remove our anguish here. Greetings to you, O Lord, beyond both speech and mind. Greetings to you, light of all lights, blazing in the heartscape. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heartscape. Darkness is destroyed by your light. Oh Lord, darkness is destroyed by your light. Greetings to you, O Lord, beyond both speech and mind. Greetings to you, O Lord, beyond both speech and mind. Yet you are the basis of both. O Lord, basis of both. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heartscape. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heartscape. Darkness is destroyed by your light. Oh Lord, darkness is destroyed by your light. Langa, ranga, bhanga. These are all the sounds of Vedanta. Langa, ranga, bhanga. These are all the sounds of Vedanta. Spiritual songs devotees are singing for your worship divine. Spiritual songs devotees are singing for your worship divine. Jaya Jaya for your worship divine. Hara Hara for your worship divine. Shiva Shiva for your worship divine. Breaker of all our worldly bondage and adored by all, we adore you too. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji ki Jai. Auspicious and blessed graciousness sublime, all noble ends you give to us, granting us refuge, all seeing Gauri, O Mother Divine, our love to you. Creation, preservation, dissolution are your powers, eternal one. Nature's real basis, nature's essence, O Mother Divine, our love to you. We come seeking refuge from anguish. Be our Savior through your deep concern. All suffering, remove Goddess, O Mother Divine, our love to you. Victory, O Mother Divine, our love to you. Blessed Mother Divine, our love to you. Blessed Mother Divine, our love to you. Blessed Mother Divine, our love to you. Jai Shri Ram Krishna Dev Ki Jai. Jai Shri Sarda Devi Ki Jai. Jai Shri Swami Vivekananda Ki Jai. Jai Shri Buddha Dev Ki Jai. Jai Shri Jesus Christ Ki Jai.